Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole, the word that you keep forgetting, it seems like over the last 3 weeks, is that word resolutions. That whole ideology has changed in my mindset now to look at it all the time. Now I'm thinking about like destiny planning. What is my purpose? What it was I intended to be here for? We had we talked a little bit about this last week after the show, Tamika, and I felt like, where's the significance in the activities and the things that we do and what we're planning? And you helped me get some more insight on that. But afterwards, I got a lot more clarity and focus on the gifts that I have, the things that people have always said that have been positive towards me, the constructive criticism, not the criticism, not the critical points about me, but when it's constructive, and how I'm getting more clearer on who I am and what is intended for my life purpose from the destiny planning.
Exactly. And knowing what to take in and what to say, like, thanks, but no thanks. And just add even more confidence. And I think that's age too, and a little bit of wisdom as well, but it's even better when you get to start it earlier. And so speaking of which, like even with our kids, right? When they get to a particular point, honestly, this is perfect to implement with our children because we see their gifts, we see them, and it will allow us to see them in a way that God has created them. I feel personally, versus us trying to make them fit into something that we wish we were and pushing them into that direction. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and even with a spouse, as well, or a significant other, right? Like being able to do that, so their lane and their strengths and their weaknesses. I think it allows you to see people in the spirit, and it allows you to walk with them and to understand them so much more. But let's back it up with our children. Audrey, I know you had mentioned something about mentioning this to your son, and he's an adult son.
Yeah. And it's crazy how I definitely wrote down top 4 things that I've gained from the series. And I just have to say, it's such an honor to be a part of this because I have learned so much from Leia and you, Tamika, just going through this, and one of the number one things that you talked about the last time was documenting your journey. That hit me kind of hard because I think in my journey, I feel like I got kind of a late start, right? Like so many years of, believing in God, but not necessarily, putting him as the number one focus until the last few years, things just kind of hitting me. So not being afraid to document that journey so that way I can take my story and my testimony and share it with other people and remember kind of what that felt like when you're kind of reconnecting. So I got myself a little journal. I'm going to be documenting everything. It's going to be great. And got my highlighters for my Bible, got my Bible tabs. I feel like this is getting started. I'm organized. But I think the second thing is just really listening to God. I can count the times that something hit me so heavy because like how you ladies were talking about how one of the things that God does is talking through people. And I'm telling you, there have been things that people have said to me that isn't how they would even normally interact with me or things that they would normally say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you say that? And then another person said like the exact same thing. So I've really been able to tune in and look back to see where God had that influence in my life. So that's the second thing, really listening to God and how he is talking through people, to me. And likewise, the third thing is the spiritual gifts and seeing how if he's talking to other people, for my benefit, am I listening to him? Is he trying to talk to me so that I can be open, so I can be there for other people, and that I am, forward enough in my faith and comfortable enough to pass that on to other people so that he can use me. So that's the third thing is I got to tune into those spiritual gifts. And the fourth thing is the board meeting with God. You talked about that last time too. I had not been incorporating that. And I love that. I love that premise of just saying a prayer, not only like when I wake up and start my day, but actually focusing on business and having that board meeting with God and making sure that he's actually involved in my business instead of separating those things. So thank you so much. This has been so helpful for me. And I can't wait to hear all the feedback that you get from the listeners too. This has just been amazing. Yeah,
exactly. And don't be afraid. Please comment, comment or just ask questions, because I'm sure this topic garners a lot of questions. One in particular is probably like, okay, spiritual gifts, Tamika. Like, okay, where do I find that at? I mean, do I have to necessarily be a Christian in order to find out, those type of things? okay, look, let's be real. The gifts and calling God are irrevocable. Like the things that you are inherently created for and to do, believe me, either A, you're going to use it to serve the world, or B, you're going to use it to serve God, or, you know, A and B, evil or good. It's just the way that it goes in the world. And, you know, then that's why Jesus always talked about, you know, choose ye this day who you will serve. And he stresses, please choose life. With your gifts as well, you know, because, you know, you could take one gift and we've probably seen this before, people or even our own self, a gift that is intended for good, or like maybe it's a gift where you discern things, but you can be very critical, you know, and you're discerning, but it's a discerning of spirits, it's a gift. However, you're using it to tear the others down, being depressed, feeling some type of way. I mean, it's the bad way. Or you can use it to your benefit and say, you know what, I see this and I'm going to pray against X, Y, and Z so I can see things change. I can see certain atmospheres shift, because greater is it he that is in me than he is in the world. Like I can speak to situations and watch things change. I can speak to situations over my friends, my family, myself, and watch continents change and demons flee. You know, so it's using those gifts for the positive. And when I say that, like for instance, with myself, right? This was a long time ago. This paper is like, you know, like when paper gets like yellow, yellow and stuff. I did this, and a long time ago. So this is probably about the same time I was doing my destiny plan, but I don't remember exactly what site, but I know that there is one called like Mintools, MINTOOLS.com, which is ministry tools. And it's kind of cool because well, I know this one at least, it broke down the different gifts. So the first one was evangelism, prophecy, teaching, exhortation, being a pastor, shepherd, showing mercy, serving, giving, and administration. So all of these are in the Bible. They are actual gifts of the Spirit. And the top ones for me, which is kind of interesting, and let's see if it actually fits me. So I'm gonna say it, and you tell me if it fits. Dominant gifts are administration and prophecy. So administration means like I'm a take charge person who jumps in and starts giving orders when no one is in charge. You'll put a plan on paper and start delegating responsibility. You may lean towards organizing things, events, or programs, or towards organizing people, emphasizing personal relationships and leadership responsibilities. How interesting, right? that was it. Again, that was like 2003, right? And then the other one, and then then the prophecy part is basically the ability to see kind of what is that wrong, or easily spot what's wrong and to find something right. Like, so to be able to call out things that are not right, and to hopefully redirect the ship in the direction that it needs to go. But then the last one, it's so interesting. Administration was the first one. The second one, there was a prophecy. Then there was exhortation and teaching, which is interesting because I'm starting to fall into that category a little bit more now. But all that to say, on the next, in our next segment, I'll break it down a little bit more, because when people say destiny plan, like, well, what do you mean? I'm going to give you some examples in my own personal life. And then you're going to see like, oh, well, you know what? If you know me and you know anything about me even now and back then, how it correlates to where I'm going through. And this is what I'm telling you, like 20 years of this, but it's broken down and each step has come to pass because I'm doing it God's way. And there's some things that kind of went off a little bit, but God brought me right back because there still is a path and there's a purpose. And as long as I stay true to that, you'll never fail. Even getting married, even having kids, you'll never fail. It just enhances it. So stay tuned. We're coming back. Equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Thank y'all for joining us and stay tuned. All right, everyone, welcome back. Hey, so we are talking about destiny planning, and I'm here with Audrey Hutton of the Hutton Mortgage team, and then also Leia Barraza. Ladies, say hello, and then actually, how can we get in contact with you? And let me get that out the way. Leia, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Leia Barraza, and you can definitely get in touch with me either by cell phone, 916-879-4435, or by my Instagram, which is leah.momentum.
Thank you. And then Audrey.
Yeah, feel free to look us up, Hutton Mortgage Team. Our number is 408-426-8755.
Awesome. Well, ladies, again, we've been talking about destiny planning and doing a little teaching on some things, and it's been really, really cool. But what I want to talk about now, I think people, they hear it, they're just like, yeah, but is it too late for me to start now? It's a little bit later on in my life. And I would encourage you to start sooner than later. And even if you have children, this is a great time and a great thing to implement with your kids, so that they know, like when they're going off to college or when they're doing things in life, man, how much more prepared will they be if they know that, okay, I know, and I've prayed, and I see that there's a direction for me to go. And I think it completely takes out the, like, hey, I'm the parent, I want you to do what I want you to do type of things. As parents, I think we tend to want to do that. But it allows them to have their own path and their own way that they can hear God and going. And I think it sets people up for success. And honestly, and this is what I would be talking about even more next year, I believe that it sets people up on the path, especially even in this industry, that you hopefully the amount of people that come into this industry doesn't stay like 80% of them fail within the first 5 years, because they already know coming in, this is something that I should be doing or something I should not be doing. And it allows people to actually go into the field and do the very thing that they were called to be, and that they're intrinsically good at, and maybe that they enjoy. And maybe you wouldn't have such people not looking for the money, but looking for the heart aspect, and do better and succeed better inside this industry. And and we're not called used car salesmen and stuff. Anyways,
Well,
go ahead, Leia.
Talking about heart, right? Like, I think, and in the Bible, it talks about where the heart is. It's in the gut, right? It's like you focus on, and you can even look that up in thermic system, which is about the gut system, which is in actuality the first brain. So when you listen to your gut, your heart, it helps you guide you to what you need to be. And you're right, not money driven, but purpose driven. And that's why this I think has it's been such a great journey this past month, Advent, for me. It's so important to grow and evolve during this time before we start into the new season officially, which is after New Year's for Americans. So
exactly.
I can add to that too. I have a little bit of a different perspective from my business coach. Actually, my business coach is somebody that has 80 million in the bank, and I've been with him for probably about 9 years now, and he kind of helped me meld those worlds of, it's okay to not necessarily want money, but it's okay to have money and use those things for good. And he's probably,
Correct.
I mean, anytime that we're fined, all of those things, it goes towards donations, and his premise is changing the planet. I think a lot of times people have that focus of like, I have to either go for my purpose and I might not make money, or I can go for the money and I might not have that purpose. And I think in my journey have accepted that there can be that blend of both. I feel like the gifts that God is calling us to, he's number one, going to put it for his glory. He's going to want us to be successful. He's going to want us to figure out ways that we can help other people. And sometimes that takes money. So I think being in the finance world, I finally, 10 years ago, obviously, loved seeing somebody that was so successful and a believer in Jesus, and putting those things together, even when I was uncomfortable at that time. So that was really big for me in my journey. Yeah, we can be successful and have God too. It's all good.
Amen. No, I 100% agree with you on that, Audrey. And I also agree also too with, I think it's both, right?
Yeah,
it's both and. And the thing about it is, and this is where I'm coming from. I do see a lot of people when they chase the money, and not to say that that's a bad thing. I never say that it's a bad thing. If that's going to motivate you, great. However, I do see that, but when you don't have a foundation on things, all the money in the world can never change the fact that you feel empty inside. And the fact that the personality and the humanness of things a lot of times leaves when it comes to dealing with people and situations and stuff. That's where I'm coming from. However, of course, it takes money to move even the kingdom of God. We already know that. But the Bible verse that I'm likening it to is Matthew 6:21, where it says, "Wherefore your treasure is, there your heart would be also." And that also talks with you about you, Leah. Like it literally says it in the Bible. Like where your heart is, that's where your treasure will be. For your heart will always be where your riches are. And if those things are out of whack, you can make all the money in the world, but you still have people that are unhappy, that are depressed, that are suicidal, that are a lot of things. And sometimes it's a faster way to get there for the money, but sometimes the slower way is to develop that character, develop those things so that those things you can carry. Sometimes the Bible also says too, it's harder for a rich man to get into. It's easier for a camel to get threaded through a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. You know, to leave all your riches behind and actually pursue God. That's why sometimes it is. Some people get it and they're able to make that focus and that set. Not saying that's a bad thing. Wonderful if you can. However, those that are having a problem with certain things because their focus is off, it may be a little bit harder for you. And you may have to have more of a heart check to kind of know that you're doing something that you're designed, destined, and purpose to do, so that depression and things hopefully won't hit as much as it is right now in our society and our world. So that's kind of like the direction. But I think absolutely both yes to everything. And one of the reasons why destiny planning and actually doing those things, it allows you to continue to see and stay focused on the goal of what am I here for? I think that's probably the biggest thing that people get so confused about. And as they're doing, and they just sit back and they're just like, yeah, I got all this money, but what am I here for? Like, what is it for? Like, is it just to get a tax write-off, just to give, or is it actually make a change in the world and do something with all of what I've been giving and what I'm privy to, right? And I hope people have more of that awakening, and I think they are like having more of that awakening in these last years, because you know that life isn't short. You can't take it with you. So what are you doing to change the world with what you have? Because we aren't guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah,
we just aren't.
I totally agree with you. It's one of those things where now, you know, I'm in my 40s. I know as we get older in our friend groups and even with our clients, everybody's talking about, wow, we feel like we were kids raising kids, just depending on if you had kids, and that kind of thoughts. We're always learning, right? When you're younger, people that are older, they have all the answers. They're so, you know, it's like, no, we're all learning all the time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to be happy. And that, when you just think about that, people that can have everything, they still might not be happy. It takes work to be happy. And that's why I love this destiny plan, is because ultimately you can have everything in the world. You're not necessarily going to be happy unless you're in tune with your author, with your creator. So definitely comes full circle. Love it.
100%. Hey, but guess what? It's even better than happiness. Why? Because happiness is fleeting. It's an emotion, right? But even more so, that the joy of the Lord can be your strength. So no matter, because remember, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. Just because you have a destiny plan doesn't mean you're not going to have trials and tribulations or have to break through in certain areas because of own personal problems or views towards certain things. So let's not get that twisted. You know, there are maybe that you'll probably make a left when you should have made a right, but God will still use that left for your benefit. And what the devil, meant for evil, God will absolutely turn around for good. And that's the beauty about being able to say, God, I give you my life and I give you my business. So whatever you're going to do with it, I already know that I still win. But Lord, I don't want to stay 40 years and going around this mountain. Like I don't really want to do that, but I get it. I get it if I'm hard-headed and I'm not listening in order to have things, it happen, right? So one of the things that I did want to talk about, and just kind of wrapping it up, because we're gonna dive into your stuff, in our next segment, but talking about like mission statements. So anyone that knows me, like they know that like this has been a catapult. I've started probably about, oh my God, like 4 or 5 or so different businesses. And have all of them went somewhere? No, they haven't. However, they've always led me to the next platform, to the next thing. And it's still leading me to the next thing. And the beautiful thing about it, and we're kind of, we're now approaching our time, but one of the things that in sharing that I want to share, and this I wrote in 6/20/2002. We don't have a whole lot of time, but I did want to read this little thing that I did write to myself. And this is just an excerpt on how a destiny plan or how you just writing things down can come back and you can share and you can lean on it, right? I put on here, Lord, walking in your will, my spirit spoke to me. It said that I will be changing lives in a major way. God has distinctly placed my footsteps according to his will, and that is the reason for grace bestowed upon me. My spirit speaks of building houses for the poor, possibly a ministry, prophetic gifting in your church, your will, owning my own business, and glorifying your name while helping others help themselves, giving them jobs. Your grace has set my desire to carpentry. And with that, I'm going to bless so many in the name of Jesus. God, I simply ask that you help me stay in alignment with your will. It's Colossians 1:9-10. And upon doing that, you will direct my path and love me unconditionally. We're growing and growing understanding. There's a lot more, but even just that alone, this is 2002, you know, as I'm doing this whole process and I see, and if you are struggling in understanding what is your purpose, we'll go into like one of our next ones, like later on or next week, but if you're struggling, I please listen to the past podcast and write things down and really have a time to get with God, so that you can be able to see what he's speaking to you about your life. And I guarantee you it will change probably your trajectory of your life and bring you to the position of more joy, more purpose, and more fulfillment, guaranteed. Just because you're now asking your creator, okay, what was I designed and destined for? So we ran out of time. That means you got to join in for next segment. But thank you so much, Audrey Hutton, Leia Barraza, thank you so much again. And everyone, hey, DM up, you can catch me at Tamika Ellsworth on Instagram, 408-561-7922. Thank you and God bless.